Okay, we're going to talk about forbearances and foreclosures. I jokingly refer to them as the F words. So let's just get right to the questions that are floating around. Are we going to see a 2021 housing crisis, foreclosure crisis, or a housing crash? And now, believe it or not, there are some people that want that because they want to pick up these investments. So there are people on YouTube, articles written about these subjects, posted on different blogs and Facebook groups. So I just wanted to attack this directly and give you some information so that you have the data and the facts for your own financial planning and purchasing of real estate investments. We're going to take a look here at active forbearances. We look at forbearances across the country as the tool given to consumers to help weather the storm relative to their housing. And if you go back to the end of May, just over 4.7 million people were on active forbearance. But as we look over time, the number of people in active forbearance is decreasing. There is a step down in October where you see right at 3 million people for the last several weeks on active forbearance. And we want to continue to see people come off. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, more commonly known as CFPB, gave options to people to extend, as well as a number of different tools. And we're going to talk about these people in just a minute. But the good news is we are seeing people come off the forbearance program. Our next slide here, when we started this, a lot of experts were saying, hey, we're going to see 30% of owners take forbearance. Well, that actually never happened. Back in May, we reached the height of about 8.5% of mortgages in forbearance, and where we sit today is 5.8% of mortgages are in forbearance, and that number's dropping. Our next slide, so that you can see the number of forbearances that they predicted never happened, and we see quite opposite of that effect, a fraction of those, and again, that number's dropping. Of the 5.8% of people granted forbearance, this is what happened upon the expiration of that first 180-day plan, okay? They gave those in 180-day plans. 2.4 million extended their forbearance. 2.8 million either dropped it when they discovered that they didn't need it or paid it off. 481,000 expired or are delinquent and in loss mitigation trying to form another plan. And remember, people could extend another 180 days, okay? Lastly, 80,000 people expired while delinquent and are not in some form of loss mitigation. Now, those are the ones that are susceptible. I will say at this point, to some type of distress sale or foreclosure, we don't know. Don't get too excited. Those are national numbers, okay? We're not saying all of those are going to turn into that, but those are the ones that could turn into it. Now, what's interesting about that is that when this forbearance plan came out, I think the general thought was that we were going to have a ton of people doing this. Like they said, 30% of mortgages were going to go into forbearance. And then there was kind of this undercurrent of, them turning into foreclosure. Well, that's simply not true. Where we stand today is that 5.8 million people opted for forbearance. We see this very small bucket of people, 80,000 people, that are candidates or could turn into possibly some type of distress sale. It's not a significant number of those that took forbearance. And the truth is, people go into foreclosure each month. But it's a low number. It's just certainly not the numbers that we had back in 2008. So if you're one of my investors, I'm sorry. What I've been telling you came true. This is simply not going to be a good foreclosure purchasing year for you. And to all my other clients, cheer hard. We were right. Foreclosures are not going to bring down your property values. The big difference in this foreclosure crisis is that today people have options. You know, they had equity in their homes, and the equity in their homes gave them options to be able to sell, to be able to do what they want. They could pay a commission, get top dollar, and put some money in their pocket, and then move on down the road and get to the other side of this health crisis with them and their family intact. And those are options that homeowners didn't have back in 2008. We're in a very, very different scenario today. We're going to look here at a quote from Ivy Zellman, who we in the real estate space look to for a lot of advice. She says the likelihood of us having a foreclosure crisis again is about 0%. And so Ivy, wonderful quote. I like 0%. It's a very good number. I've gotten several calls of when are the REO properties going to hit the market. And I think from a crisis level and a flood of those properties, we're not likely to see it. The biggest issue in our business right now, no doubt, is inventory. We've talked a lot about the economic impact of a home sale across the country, and we know that's driving the economy right now. You might want to go back or look on our blog. Honestly, it should be every realtor's job that they are working towards daily to bring listings back to market. If we take a look at the year-over-year change in listings, it's the supply of homes coming to market versus the inventory of homes being sold that is the real crisis. We are hovering nationally as well as here locally at about 2.7 months of inventory. This is crisis level, folks. I mean, this is the reason why sellers are getting a premium in our area right now in terms of price and terms. And you aren't seeing a lot of for sale by owners right now due to the cost of, virtual showings at about $750 to $1,000 a house for photos and video alone, which is imperative to selling a home safely and virtually in this COVID environment. In our next video, we're going to be talking more about the reasons why people are simply not putting their homes on the market. I have some great Zillow data and my own information to share, so we'll see you there.